So I invited to come on tonight with us someone I've known for a while in my pre-mayor days, Jason Wills, who is with a company that owns and operates some apartment buildings in the community, working really hard to help us in our city keep a handle on what's happening. I really appreciate the effort that you guys are putting toward that. In fact, I sent you a letter the other day because I saw the mention in the newspaper and wanted to thank you for that. And
thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining and talk about what you do and what your company does so people can get oriented.
Absolutely. For folks who don't know, ACC is an Austin-based company. We own about 6 student communities and 5,000 beds here in Austin, but we own and manage more than 100,000 nationwide. And kind of a fun fact, we actually started as a company on the 29th floor of Dobie Center, coincidentally the same floor that a fellow named Michael Dell started his company on, a small computer company, as I understand.
Wow, so, that impressive floor in the Dobie way back when.
Right. So back in March, we realized that we really needed to overhaul the entire experience here on West Campus. And the goal was to change the way everything looked so that students could return, they could be safe, be smart, they could do their part. We wanted them to be empowered in the situation. And so there's 3 things that we did primarily. The first one was we had a pretty innovative touch point analysis process where we identified every light switch, every surface, every place a student was going to touch, and then we implemented a solution for those places. And so if you come to our communities, you can see those in place now. The second thing we did, we reached out to our partners, RB with Lysol, and we asked them to review all of our cleaning procedures and protocols. And so we redid all of those in light of the pandemic, and it's a whole new cleaning regimen. And the last thing is we implemented a resident responsibility program that includes a pledge, a daily checklist, and new policies, because these are college students. And, you know, I forget my mask enough. I forget to social distance. And part of what we want to do is constantly remind those folks to do the right thing and to be responsible.
And we've seen in this city just how important those things are. You know, a lot of students left when things kind of got, you know, shut down here in the city last spring, and they went back home. A lot of them missed what happened in our summer when we had the spike. We tried to get the state to put in a statewide masking ordinance. The state wouldn't do it. Finally, the mayors and the county judges figured out how to do it on our own. We did. And I think because of the local officials stepping forward, we were able to bring down the spikes. But the masking was demonstrated to be so incredibly important. But it's hard to get folks 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 to religiously wear masks. How do we do that?
Well, first of all, we try to set up a system of peer enforcement. It's interesting when somebody walks down the hall here, and I'm actually here at the Callaway House. If you're not wearing a mask, they give you a kind of a hard look. There are staffers who will provide a mask, and there's signage reminding you everywhere to wear masks and to socially distance and wash your hands and all of those things. But really, the most important piece of it is we have enhanced protocols. We've upgraded the level of security and the level of RA rounds that we're going through. And in some cases, we've had to implement fines for folks who are having gatherings of 10 or more and things like that. Now, what I do want to say, Mayor, is that the outliers seem to get all the media right now. The reality is the majority of our students, 99.9%, are fantastic. They're academically focused, they're responsible, and they are doing the right thing. And we're so proud that this generation has really embraced its responsibility right now.
And my thanks, and you can tell those folks as you walk around the building that are wearing their masks that their mayor personally thanked them for what they were doing. You know, in the city, it was the same kind of thing. You know, we put the mask policy in, and quite frankly, we put fines in, but we talked for a long time. If people were watching the show back in March and April and into June, you can't police and enforce these things. Because you can't be everywhere people are. At some point, it's got to be a cultural thing. It's got to be something that a community wants to do and decides that it's important enough for them to kind of police each other, which is what happened in the city overall. People are doing it now, not because people were being thrown in jail, but because it became the expectation.
It's our new norm.
And it's what we would do to be protecting one another. You know, the students are new back on campus, and there are a lot of them that are wearing masks. And my hope is that the students will develop that as their culture too. It's harder sometimes with students because they don't end up in the emergency room in the hospital with the same frequency. So they kind of think, you know, kind of bulletproof. And in some respects, they may be more than someone who's older, who has conditions and the like. But we have a lot of students that then carry the virus and are asymptomatic. They don't even know that they have it. And then they go to the grocery store and they give it to somebody that's in the grocery store. They go to a restaurant. They give it to somebody in the restaurant. And then that ends up getting to a person that is susceptible. The student never knows that it was ever an issue. They never see it. But yet in the wake of somebody who can have the infection, it can cause a lot of challenge, a lot of problems, which is why we need people to pull together. Right now in our community, people are trying to get schools opened, you know, and keep them open. And the students at the university are going to have a big say in whether or not we can keep schools open. And I hope and think that they can be up to the task. But I'll tell you, you folks as managers are at the front line. So your effort and the stuff that you're doing to present the sanctions, but hopefully people don't need to be the constant reminders. You know, in a perfect world here, we don't want the university kids to be sent back home.
Exactly right.
We want the systems to work. We want the schools to be able to open here, the high schools. We want businesses to be able to open more, and we need the students to help.
Well, I'm really proud of our students because what we hear from them is, regardless of how the educational experience is delivered, they want to be here in Austin. They want to be with their friends, and so they are willing to sacrifice a few things and change their behavior in order to stay here and have the kind of in-person college experience. The college experience is it's social and it's about collaboration. And so the next thing that we're looking toward is kind of developing new ways to foster community and to promote connectivity. And candidly, you know, you've got nationally, people are, you know, depressed and there's emotional wellness issues. And so part of what we're doing is really trying to maintain connectivity with the students. We have a partnership with the Austin-based Hi, How Are You project, which is a not-for-profit, Daniel Johnston's group, that actually supports kind of healthy dialogues on emotional wellness. And so that's part of the program we're rolling out to support students now.
Well, if there's anything I can do to help facilitate that, I just want, you know, the students to know if they're not feeling well, stay home. If you get sick, don't try to hide it. Go ahead and get the testing so that, and the University of Texas is testing, working away to test 5,000 students a week.
Very proactively too.
Very proactively. They've reached out to the sororities and the fraternities. The city's reached out to the sororities and fraternities and the apartment buildings, not only on West Campus, but Far West and Riverside Drive. I mean, we're kind of all in this together, and we're either all going to be doing this and it's going to work, or if we have, or we're not. And so we're all in this. So if there's anything that I can do, Jason, to help promote that message, you know, let me know. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you, Steve.
and bring me in if I can help.
Will do. Be safe, be smart.
All right, Jason. Thanks a lot for joining.